Aquarian Pools and Spas. If you can dream it, they can build it. More than 50 years in business. Start your dream pool today. Aquarian Pools and Spas. 803-732-3636.
I don't know how to quantify this basketball team and what Dawn Staley did. I see people, and I don't know if it's legitimate or not, because I know they're a good basketball team. I know that they're a top 5, top 7 basketball team in the country. But was this team good enough to be in the national championship? And I don't mean like, well, they got there, obviously, but is this one of Dawn's weaker teams? And was this one of Dawn's best jobs in her time at the University of South Carolina coaching? And if you want to say it was, I believe you. I truly believe you. I don't know. Bill Gunner, does not know how to quantify that. I didn't think that this team matched up with some of the great South Carolina teams that I have seen over the previous 7 or 8 years. And so let me just finish.
Yeah.
I think last year you ran into an absolute buzzsaw of UConn team who was better than you, and there was no questions, hands down. And I think yesterday was the same situation. Now that you pulled an upset as an underdog against Connecticut, South Carolina has LSU's number. It's 19 in a row now.
Yes. Yeah.
South Carolina, Kim Mulkey is due rent. There's a whole thing there. There might be a little more truth to what Marshall said about this year and beating Connecticut, and then all the shenanigans that went along with the postgame. I'll let y'all decide. I don't know. I don't know, again, as I said, how to quantify it, and I could be wrong. So if there's somebody who wants to weigh in, I'm all ears on whether this was Dawn's best coaching job of her career to get them to the national championship game. Because I'll be honest, Tyler, at least in the limited amount that I've seen, and I've seen all the good teams, if you were to rank 1 through 4, the Final Four, I thought Connecticut was better.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina's lost to Texas twice this year, and I thought UCLA was a really bad matchup for South Carolina.
Yeah.
So I would have had South Carolina as the 4th team in the Final Four with a chance to win it. And so I get where Marshall's going, but I truly think it's a matter of they ran into far superior teams than, Friday night just wore them out. We talk about Duke and Connecticut being true blue bloods in college basketball.
Yeah.
To be quite frank, UConn takes a backseat to nobody in college basketball with national. I mean, I don't know if people realize this. It feels like we don't give them their due because they're not an 80-year traditional power. But, for those of you wondering, since 1999, they've got 6 national championships. Mm-hmm. And this would be 3 in 4 years under Dan Hurley.
And that's why tonight is so interesting, because you can really claim to being a dynasty if you pull this one off tonight. Winning 3 out of 4 titles with the same coach, you're in control of the sport at that point in time. Again, winning back-to-back's hard enough because we hadn't seen that since Billy Donovan was at Florida back in the mid-2000s. But you win 3 out of 4, especially with this UConn team that isn't even being looked at as the favorite going in. They weren't favored going into Saturday night's game against Illinois.
Right.
They won that game. They're not the favorite tonight going in there against Michigan. And I do think, and I know Dusty May got Florida Atlantic so close to playing for the national championship a couple years ago in that wacky Final Four, but Hurley's been there and done that before. And I keep bringing up the stat. When he gets past the second round, he's undefeated. He does not lose in the deep waters of the NCAA tournament. And while, yes, on paper, Michigan's the better team, I'm not going to sit here and be shocked if they win tonight because of Dan Hurley's experience in these kind of games.
Well, it's a great, we spent a lot of time today talking about coaching matchups and Dawn Staley and whatever happened over the weekend. This is a great coaching matchup with Dusty May versus Dan Hurley because, again, for all of the Dan Hurley antics, the dude coaches ball. He is a ball coach.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was listening to the Eye on College Basketball podcast, and Gary Parrish posed an interesting question. He said, this is a coaching matchup that years from now we could look back on as one of the all-time greats. Again, Hurley's still very young in his tenure at UConn. Dusty May just getting things rolling there at Michigan. I expect both those guys to coach for a long time and multiple national championships, Final Fours, and all that kind of stuff. in 10 or 15 years, we could look back and say, wow, the first time those two guys met in the national championship was the beginning of something, a great rivalry between the two, a great saga between Michigan and UConn. Like, this could be looked at as one of the better all-time coaching head-to-head matchups when it's all said and done for both coaches.